They said this ship could never sink. 3 days later, over 1,500 people were dead. She was called the ship that even God himself could not sink. It wasn't simply an iceberg that doomed Titanic. It was a chain of tiny decisions, overlooked warnings, human pride, and one tragic night that changed maritime history forever. This is the true story of the world's most famous ship and the unforgettable night the Atlantic claimed her forever. At the dawn of the 20th century, the world was changing faster than ever before. Factories roared, cities expanded, and mighty steamships became symbols of a new industrial age. Every nation wanted to build the greatest ship on Earth. The competition was fierce. Britain's prestigious White Star Line wanted to outshine every rival, not by building the fastest ship, but by creating the most luxurious ocean liner the world had ever seen. The project was unlike anything attempted before. More than 15,000 men worked tirelessly for nearly 3 years, assembling a floating city from millions of steel rivets and thousands of tons of iron. Stretching nearly 900 feet in length, Titanic became the largest moving object ever built by human hands. Standing beside her, even experienced shipbuilders felt impossibly small. Inside, the ship resembled a grand luxury hotel. Ornate staircases, crystal chandeliers, elegant dining rooms, Turkish baths, a swimming pool, and electric elevators promised an experience unlike anything the Atlantic had ever seen. First-class passengers dined on extravagant meals served on fine china, while below deck, hundreds of hopeful immigrants dreamed of new lives waiting across the Atlantic in America. On May 35, 1911, thousands gathered in Belfast to witness the launch. As the giant hull slid into the water, cheers echoed across the harbor. It felt as though the future itself had arrived. But behind the celebration lay a dangerous illusion. The world's greatest ship had become more than an engineering masterpiece. It had become a symbol of human confidence, and confidence, history has often shown, can be a fragile thing. At exactly noon, Titanic's powerful engines rumbled to life. 4 towering funnels released thick clouds of smoke as the world's newest ocean liner slowly pulled away from the harbor. As Titanic left her berth, disaster nearly struck before the voyage had truly begun. The powerful suction created by her enormous propellers snapped the mooring lines of the nearby steamship New York, pulling it dangerously toward Titanic. Disaster was avoided by only a few feet. Some called it bad luck, others dismissed it as coincidence. The passengers cheered when the danger passed, unaware that fate had merely delayed its appointment. Over the next few days, Titanic stopped briefly in Cherbourg, France, and then Queenstown, Ireland, taking on more passengers before turning west toward the vast Atlantic Ocean. On board were some of the richest people in the world: ambitious businessmen, experienced sailors, musicians, engineers, and hundreds of immigrants carrying little more than hope for a better future in America. Life aboard Titanic felt almost magical. Children played on the open decks, gentlemen relaxed in smoking rooms, ladies enjoyed afternoon tea. Every corner of the ship reflected elegance, confidence, and comfort. But far ahead, another story was unfolding. Ships crossing the North Atlantic began reporting unusually heavy ice. One wireless message after another warned of dangerous icebergs directly along Titanic's route. Some warnings reached the bridge. Others were delayed among the flood of passenger telegrams. As daylight faded on April 14th, the sea grew strangely calm. The air turned bitterly cold, and the crew sailed toward a horizon they could barely see. April 14th, 1912. The sun slipped below the horizon, leaving the Atlantic wrapped in darkness. The sea was unusually calm, so calm that there were no waves breaking against drifting ice, making icebergs nearly invisible in the night. High above the deck, lookouts Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee stood alone inside the crow's nest. The freezing wind cut through their heavy coats as they searched the darkness with only their eyes because the binoculars were missing. Below them, most passengers had already gone to bed. Others laughed over cards. Then, at 11:40 p.m., a dark shape suddenly emerged from the black horizon. It wasn't illuminated by moonlight. It simply appeared, a towering wall of ice, directly in Titanic's path. Frederick Fleet grabbed the warning bell and rang it 3 times. Then he reached for the telephone and shouted the words that would echo through history. "Iceberg, right ahead!" Seconds later, the starboard side scraped against the iceberg. The impact was strangely gentle. There was no deafening crash. Many passengers barely noticed, but beneath the waterline, steel plates buckled and seams burst open across 6 compartments. Within minutes, seawater poured into the ship faster than the pumps could remove it. Titanic had been designed to stay afloat with 4 flooded compartments. 6 were now filling. The fate of the world's greatest ship had already been sealed. When the ship's designer, Thomas Andrews, inspected the damage, he performed the calculations himself. His conclusion was devastating. Titanic had less than 3 hours left to live. At first, few passengers believed they were in danger. The Titanic seemed calm and steady. Crew members quietly knocked on cabin doors, asking everyone to put on life jackets and make their way to the boat deck. Many hesitated. The ship's grand dining rooms were still brightly lit. The engines still hummed. To some, climbing into a small lifeboat on a freezing night felt far more dangerous than staying aboard the world's largest ship. When the order came, women and children first, families were forced into impossible decisions. Husbands kissed their wives goodbye. Fathers lifted their children into lifeboats, never knowing it would be the last time they would see them. Tragically, many of the first lifeboats were lowered only half full. People still believed there would be enough time and that the Titanic could not truly sink. As the bow slipped deeper into the Atlantic, the ship's famous band continued to play. Their music drifted across the freezing night, offering comfort to terrified passengers as chaos slowly surrounded them. Deep below deck, engineers remained at their posts. Surrounded by rising seawater and deafening machinery, they kept the generators running, allowing the ship's lights to stay on and distress signals to continue reaching the outside. Nearby, the wireless operators Jack Phillips and Harold Bride tapped out desperate messages into the night. CQD, CQD, SOS, SOS. The angle of the ship grew steeper with every passing minute. Furniture slid across polished floors. China shattered. People struggled to keep their footing as the ocean claimed one deck after another. Then, just after 2 a.m., the impossible happened. Under unbearable stress, the Titanic broke in 2. The bow disappeared beneath the Atlantic, while the stern rose high into the icy night before beginning its final descent. As dawn broke over the North Atlantic, an eerie silence replaced the chaos of the night. Wooden debris drifted across the calm sea. Lifeboats floated aimlessly. Of the more than 2,200 people aboard Titanic, over 500 had lost their lives. News of the disaster spread around the world within hours. Newspapers printed enormous headlines. Families crowded outside shipping offices, desperately searching for the names of loved ones among the lists of survivors. Investigations soon revealed painful truths. There were not enough lifeboats for everyone aboard. Ice warnings had not received the attention they deserved. The tragedy exposed fatal weaknesses in maritime safety. In the years that followed, international laws were rewritten. Ships were required to carry enough lifeboats for every passenger, maintain continuous radio watches, and patrol dangerous ice fields more carefully than ever before. For more than 70 years, Titanic rested undisturbed nearly 4 kilometers beneath the Atlantic. Then, in 1985, explorer Robert Ballard and his team finally discovered the wreck, lying silently on the ocean floor. Today, the wreck continues to fade as nature slowly reclaims it. Iron-eating bacteria consume the once mighty ship piece by piece. Someday, little may remain, but the story will endure. The Titanic was more than a ship. It was a mirror of human ambition, innovation, confidence, and vulnerability. More than a century later, we still remember her, not because she was called unsinkable, but because on one cold April night, thousands of ordinary people revealed extraordinary courage in the face of impossible odds, and perhaps that is why the Titanic will never truly disappear.